Morning all. How are we all doing? All right, let me just get my screen correct. How is everybody? All good? Let's check on. There it is. Morning, Peter. Morning, Amy, Christian, JC, Tempest. How we doing? David, Jerry, Virginia, Danny, John. Morning. Right. Another week. Morning, Keith. Start of the school holidays. Voice down because the kids aren't going to get up till 12. How are we all doing? All had good weekends? So we will kick off as usual with a quick look at the news for the week. Morning XR update.news. Big week this week. We got an awful lot of news this week, culminating with, focusing on the FOMC press conference on Wednesday. So it all kicks off at 8:15 this morning. So the DAX might be a bit tricky this morning. One of those, do you go in half risk sort of mornings, basically. So we've got the PMI figures coming out this morning. French and German, 8:15 and 8:30. The Euro ones we don't tend to worry about because they're just in a culmination basically of French and German. So whatever the French and German is what the Euro is basically. Then at 9:30, we've got the PMIs for the pound. And then this afternoon at 2:45, which is 15 minutes after the New York Open, we've got the PMIs for the US as well. So tricky day today. Where's my pen gone? For indices, for scalping the indices at the open, basically. So you're going to get the same thing happening potentially in the US market this afternoon. We got consumer confidence tomorrow. We got CPI for the Australian, so the Australian inflation figures coming out on Wednesday, which is very important. We've got the FOMC and the Fed fund rate on Wednesday evening, followed by the Euro rate on Thursday afternoon, followed by unemployment claims and GDP for the US dollar in the afternoon. We've got the ECB press conference just after the rates are announced for the Euro. And then going into Friday, we've got the CPI figures for Japan, the monetary policy rate and the Bank of Japan rate, which won't change. That will still remain as negative 1.1. We've got the Bank of Japan press conference. That will be where they will start talking about FX interventions or not. We've got the CPI for the Euro coming in. I say CPI for Euro. Basically, French and German CPI makes up the Euro CPI. So the German CPI is delivered state by state, which is why you don't have it set at a period of time. It comes out throughout the morning, giving you a picture. So there'll be a lot of disruption on Friday morning. We've got the CAD GDP in the afternoon. We've got PCE. Then we've got the unemployment cost index for the US and Michigan. So it's a hideous week. It's going to be all over the place, basically. So lots of volatility, which is fantastic, but potentially lots of pushes and squeezes as well. So very tricky week to navigate. Weekend news. I had a quick scan through this morning. Can't see anything over the weekend that's impacted at all. So nothing to worry about news-wise over the weekend. Just looking at what we've got stocks today. Earnings today is flat, so there's no earnings today. We had Amex and SLB pre-market on Friday, so they won't affect today's movement. So there's nothing to worry about today. Tomorrow is the big day. All kicks off tomorrow, earnings fortnight. We've got Google, Microsoft, these, and it's just murder. So for the next 2 weeks, basically, the stock market will be flying up, down, sideways, all over the place. So good luck. It's all good fun. We have some big days. We have some big ADR days, which will be lovely. Morning, Burke. Morning, Evans. Morning, Andres. Morning, Stevie. Morning, Steve. So last week, pretty good week last week. Banked loads. Very little drawdown. Held over the weekend. 20% up on the month. See what happens with all this lot today. No ADRs to look at this morning. No weeklies to look at. Obviously, it's the Monday. We've only got 2 monthlies. We're in the last week of the month, so we've got CAD Swiss and US dollar Swiss. both of these, CAD Swiss is on the screen there. So both of these, obviously, I'm out of the CAD Swiss, US dollar Swiss. I'm still in profit at the moment, but we've had a sideways day, so it might get a bit of a pullback on this, but we'll see. So those of you only monthlies, RSIs are pretty flat. So it might be a quick session this morning. We'll have a quick look at the DAX before it opens. So this morning, we've got a gap down on the DAX. We're in a 5-day side, well, it's more than that actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-day sideways move on the DAX. We hit that high basically from 3 weeks ago. We haven't got through it. So the market is struggling at the moment. It's really trying hard to break new highs. As you can see from the US indices, the Dow has flown out the highs. The S&P struggled a little bit last week, and the NASDAQ came down last week. So the indices are all over the place at the moment because it's earnings fortnight. So it's very difficult to pick any direction. It will go wherever the market's going to go with it, obviously, which it always does. But we'll look for normal patterns. So gap fill, play to the upside. Once the gap fill is done, potential downside into last week's low. And obviously upside into last week's high. We've got 2 minutes to go to the open. So yeah, overall DAX basically, we've got no directional bias whatsoever on the DAX at the moment. So this week, we've got potential runs up to these previous highs if it wants to go long. Downside, obviously, is miles all the way back down to here. We had this massive rally. There's no support potentially apart from that low to the downside until you get all the way back down to these sorts of levels. So there's a long way to drop if it is going to drop. But difficult to tell today. So yeah, look today for yesterday's high or Friday's high, which is there. Previous day's high is up there, and weekly high up there to the upside. So there's 3 upside resistances, support to the downside, pretty much where we're opening. So a quick flush down into that support might give us a bounce back up to do that gap fill. But we'll see what happens at the open. Cool, a little bit of volatility coming in before the open. Is the German 30 and the DAX 40 the same thing? Yes. The DAX used to consist of 30 stocks. They changed that last year to be 40, but some brokers haven't updated. So it's 40 stocks now, but some still call it the Germany 30. Others now call it the Germany 40 or the DAX, or it's called all sorts of things. If it doesn't fly to the upside now, I'll call it a pain in the ass. So long on the DAX. So initial target to the upside, somewhere in that area there if it goes. And obviously Friday's high. I get the feeling today, though, we're going to see a little bit of sideways movement because obviously we've got the news at 8:15. So I can't see the market wanting to put a massive amount in this morning, but you never know. You having a little go at it, doesn't it? Okay. So depending on how you class a gap fill, some people look at just before where we ended, where the recent low was. Others class it as the actual close, but somewhere around there, potentially, you'll find orders trigger to complete that that little gap that's formed. So might get a kickback off of that. Looks like we are at the moment. Big rejection. Could have taken that off, but I'm just watching my other monitor. I've got got a long running on the NASDAQ on my other platform. NASDAQ's actually pushing quite hard. As the DAX has pulled all the way back inside the range. Thinking about it. Morning, Sibo. See that you already have trades in for the DAX. These trades taken by the EA, yeah. Yeah, these are the opening range breakouts. Come on, NASDAQ. I just want to see if it pops this Globex high. Just want to see what reaction we get up at that high, if we get to it. The DAX basically is pulled all the way back inside the range. Thinking about it. So I would say that is probably the gap done, which means it does open up downside back into the lows. But we'll see where it goes from here. Morning, Brian. Morning, Outro. Anyone else get serious slippage on the DAX? A little bit, not a lot. So order was there. I got slipped to there and there. So I got 1 pip for, yeah. Depends what you class as serious. Not great, but not that bad. Okay, we got 10 seconds to this candle close. There we go. So basically, absolutely no movement whatsoever. So straight up, straight down, straight back to where we started. Yeah, not a lot happening there, is there? Okay, we'll give that 10 minutes or so. So there's your 5-minute opening range. It's obviously fair old size this morning, but we're not going to get a lot of volatility, I don't think, until we get the movement for the 8:15 news. So it's a really difficult one today. We got the 8:15 news for France, and then once they've got that figure in, they're going to want to wait for the German figure at 8:30. Then once that's in, pretty much that's it. So I think probably 8:30 is where we're going to see the move today. So we might find we get a little bit of that range at 8:30 is probably where, if we are going to start a move, obviously, we don't know if we're going to go anywhere, but if we are going to start a move, that 8:30 range is probably what we're looking at, I say today. So we'll give that a bit of time to bed in and unravel, but it doesn't seem like it wants to do anything at the moment, does it? Right, so ADRs, obviously, as I say, we've got nothing to look at. So RSIs, we'll have a look at what we've got available on the RSIs. So I'm a little bit over leveraged on this NASDAQ. So I'm just hoping we're going to get back up to the highs on the NASDAQ and I can get out of half this position, because I put on a little bit too much size. So makes you ultra cautious when you've got 10 contracts long and you're meant to go 5. I didn't actually. I meant to add to it, but I didn't mean to add 5. I meant to add 2. I added 5 by accident. So it's a good problem to have, though, because NASDAQ is flying. Well, I say it's flying. It's going up. So as long as that keeps going up like that, that'd be lovely. You can just hit that target. Thank you. There we go. $1,000 for breakfast. Thank you very much. So that basically, I took that off there because of that. So that's half the contracts done. So now I'm flat and break even on the rest, which is great. So if I get a runner on this, it'd be lovely. There we go. Right. That's done. I can relax now. So just so you know what I'm doing, I'm taking the opening range breakouts on the NASDAQ as well as on the DAX as a little test to see what we get. So as you can see, there's your pre-market 15 and there's your pre-market 5 today on the NASDAQ. A lot of the time, the NASDAQ really doesn't go very far, and it doesn't go in the same direction as the DAX a lot of the time. But we do get enough volatility on that initial kind of 10 or 15 minutes on the NASDAQ to get a quick scalp in. Not a long play for the day like we do with DAX, but on the NASDAQ, you can get a nice pre-market move. The 5-minute ORB I would not take on the NASDAQ, but the pre-market, because the range is smaller and tighter, if it does decide to put some volume in, which quite often, as you can see here, it does, you do get a decent move, especially on earnings fortnight. So it's a nice little scalp, but that's it, done. Once it's done, it's done. I wouldn't push it anymore today. Wouldn't hold it anymore today. So I've got a runner on it, basically. So if it decides to pop out this high, I'll hold it for the morning for a bit. Right. Euro New Zealand is the first RSI today. Just quickly cover what we've got on at the moment. Just want to quickly see if there's anything to bank. That. It's coming down this morning. Is there a TP there? So I just want to see if anything's moved at the open. Hasn't. Right. Sorry, I'm all over the place this morning. Euro New Zealand. So this is a 4-hour RSI extension to the upside. We've pushed out of the highs. We've got this high up here coming on Euro New Zealand. So this whole zone up there is potentially a nice resistance. So that is a beautiful rejection there. We got a nice wick up into it on Friday, wicked up again this morning and rejected. So they do not want to go above that level. So nice little potential move back down into the lows of this range, which is kind of a slight up channel that we've got forming, but somewhere back down into there, 24.72 bounce, potentially good looking short. So nice divergence. So RSI coming down, price going up, bearish divergence. So it looks good for a short. Obviously, bear in mind this week, everything you do this week, you've just got to have in the back of your mind what is going on this week. It's absolute bedlam across every single currency this week. The euro is Thursday. That's when we're getting the euro rates. Obviously, what happens on Wednesday is going to affect absolutely every single currency. Everything will move on FOMC. So whatever you're doing, you've got to think, right, what are we planning here? So we're planning an increase on the interest rates for the euro. Lagarde has said that there's another one coming after it. Should be bullish. We should be getting bullish movement there. Euro, we should be getting bullish movement potentially if we get the PMIs coming out as positive. So there's lots of things you just need to think about in the back of your mind when you're looking at entries today. But that looks like a lovely little short from a technical perspective. Just get that box off there. I don't want that massive chart because that'll be appearing on other time frames, on other instruments. So Euro New Zealand, big strong push to the upside. We got New Zealand dollar CAD. That's obviously the opposite, so that's to the downside. I've got long on this one already. So this is a 4-hour RSI extension. It's just coming out of extension now. Hourly, took this one on Thursday last week. I think it was, no, Wednesday last week was the RSI extension on the 1-hour chart. There's your H1 M5 mean reversion entry. We pushed up, pulled back down again, put another day in, another down day on Friday. So second entry taken there, average is there, looking for a push back up into this propulsion gap. So again, New Zealand CAD it can go up or down this week. It will go wherever the hell it likes. News is just about to hit in 2 minutes, so we just need to be aware of that with the DAX. So a little bit more upside rejection on the DAX. We should get a bit of volatility coming here in a couple of minutes. New Zealand dollar Swiss. So that's, again, pretty much the same thing as New Zealand dollar CAD. First entry on that was on Wednesday. Second entry, on Tuesday last week there. H1 M5 mean reversion. Second entry was taken on Friday. Again, average, looking for it to push back up into propulsion. So these, that low there, my target. I think I've got a trade on that one. So could get out a lot earlier. In fact, what I'm going to do with this one, I'm just going to push it down, the TP down below Friday's high, which is also Thursday's high. So that double top. So just move my target down to there, which is 125 ADR, just in case we decide to go range bound. If we do, before it gets back up into that propulsion gap. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So extended to the downside on the 4-hour. It's just ticking up at the moment. This is range bound at the minute. It's a very clear range starting to form. So potentially this could pull all the way back down to here. Obviously, US dollar this week, Wednesday, FOMC day. We don't know what's going to happen. So we're bang in the middle of this range at the moment. It is a long technically at the moment. We've got a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high. This is potentially the higher low for the market structure to the upside. However, obviously, FOMC on Wednesday, this will go wherever the hell it wants to go based on that US dollar move. So it is a long at the moment technically, but we don't know what's going to happen with the US dollar on Wednesday, whether it's going to be bullish or bearish. So just bear that in mind. And US dollar yen is only just extended to the upside. Again, this is a tricky one. I've got a sell on this one from last week, from Friday, to the downside. Not sure about this, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. But I've got a feeling we've got more strength coming in that yen. French manufacturing, 44.5 on a 46. That's negative. France, it should be bullish euro, bullish DAX. I say should be bullish DAX. I'm just getting out of my long position. Negative euro. Normally that would be bullish DAX. Thinking about it. The difficulty here is whether or not we're now going to wait until the next news. And if that is the case, all we're going to do is just sort of hang around in this range until the Germany one in 15 minutes. So NASDAQ's flying. But that is good news for the DAX. So negative euro, bullish DAX. We'll see. So yeah, US dollar yen, I've got a short on this at the moment. I think there's more yen strength to come. However, obviously Wednesday, if we get a bullish yen, a bullish US dollar, that yen will probably start to weaken, which means we'll get a big, strong push up to here. When we get back up to this 145 level, I think we're going to find a bit of resistance to go higher than that because the Japanese will want to step in and do something about it. They've already warned up here, and obviously the market reacted very nicely to it. We had US dollar negative news coming in along the same sorts of time that we got that strength in the yen, which is why we got that much bigger than normal movement on the yen compared to on the US dollar yen compared to all the other yen pairs. So if we do push up to there, I'm not too worried about having a short on, but I'm going to want to see some decent reaction at that high. So we'll see what happens. Any US dollar pair you get into this week, you are literally flipping a coin as of Wednesday. So I would like to get as flat as I possibly can on the US dollar for Wednesday, just to make sure that obviously you don't go into huge drawdown quickly. We don't know if we're going to get any surprises. I don't think it's going to be a huge surprise on Wednesday. I think we're going to get the 5.5. What's going to be interesting is whether they say they've got another 0.25% or another 2.25% rate hikes coming on the US dollar in the press conference. So 7:30, that's when we're going to find out whether or not we're going to get a bullish move. So if the Fed come out and say we are going to push for another 2 rate changes because we're not getting on top of inflation as fast as we wanted to, we'll probably get a nice big bullish move off the US. If they don't say that, I think the market will probably react negatively. So it's all going to come down to that press conference, but we'll wait and see. Right, so Germany will probably go the same way as France, being negative. So if that is the case, we will probably get that rally on the DAX. So look for upside targets towards the highs of yesterday, but we're going to have to wait until 8:30. It can't really make its mind up at all what it wants to do this morning, can it? As expected. So just range bound with inside the 5-minute ORB at the moment. Are you taking the pre-market 15 for the NASDAQ? Yes. Outro, are the DAX and the France 40 not quite intertwined with each other? They are the DAX and the France 40. I don't know. I never looked at the France 40. They're different stock indexes. It's like saying, is the FTSE the same as the DAX? No. France 40 is France. DAX is Germany. FTSE is UK. Totally different stock markets. So no, I've never looked at the relationship with them because I've never traded the France 40. So I can't really give any insight onto that. I know nothing about it. Morning, Jacob. Right, so if anybody's got any pairs they want to look at, let me know because I've covered everything. There's not much point. I was thinking this morning of maybe going through every single instrument, but there's very little point in going through everything this morning or any point this week because this week everything is going to change. So Wednesday is the day. So Australia, Wednesday morning, US, Wednesday afternoon, Europe, Thursday afternoon, and then from there on, we've got Japan as well on Friday. So today and tomorrow is kind of business as usual. If I say anything's looking a good technical setup today for potentially the next 24 hours, by the time we get there, you're going to be looking at it and going, I'm not going to take that because we've got FOMC tomorrow. So it's all kind of out the window. It always is on FOMC week. You can't really tell anything what's going to happen. So we'll just wait and see what happens with those. But anything you want to look at, let me know and I'll look at it. GU. Long at the moment on the pound. Pound is difficult. I still haven't heard anything from Bailey at all yet. So obviously we had the CPI figure last week for the pound, which obviously tanked it because the CPI came down, which is good for us in the UK because inflation comes down, cost of living starts to ease, everything gets nice and easy. However, for the pound as a currency, it's not as good because it takes inflationary pressure off, which means we don't put our interest rates up, which makes us less attractive to investment. So I still think because we've got at least another 0.75 coming on our interest rates, we haven't had this confirmed yet. So we were forecasting 0.75 to 1.25, which obviously means we've got a load more upside on the pound. But because we've had nothing out of Bailey since those CPI figures came out and no confirmation, I think we're just sitting here at the moment waiting for some news. And the pound obviously will rally if Bailey comes out and says, yes, we have got at least 0.25% to 0.5%. Inflation isn't coming down as fast, blah, 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 the usual stuff. So it's, at the moment, short term, it's bearish pound until we hear news from Bailey. Then I think you probably find it'll go bullish again. Pound US dollar, obviously, is a US dollar cross. So if we get a massive bullish move from the Fed this week, we'll be back down here on Wednesday or maybe below. If we get a bearish move on the Fed, we'll be up there. And then if Bailey comes out and rallies it, we'll be off at the highs. So you've got to look at it long term. Yeah, it's a long at the moment. The US is reacting very, very, very negative, or the market's reacting very negatively to everything about the US from a negative news perspective. So if they are not hawkish on Wednesday and they are going, we're really unsure at the moment, US will come down, which means pound US will go up. So at the moment, you're looking at basically a 24.72 bounce. Yeah, so somewhere around here, looking for a bounce to the upside. Extended on the 4-hour last week. So you'll be in it long. I'm in it long on the H1M5 mean reversion, which started on Wednesday last week. So that was my entry there on H1M5 reversal alert. So the EA got me into that. Looking for a push up into propulsion. So second entry down here somewhere. So yeah, just looking for a push up basically into that propulsion gap. In fact, that's a much better target up there. I'm going to adjust this as we go, but oops. Middle of that propulsion gap or just below is probably a good target. If I find myself here, for example, on Wednesday morning, I will break even this, remove those TPs and put them up here somewhere. Because obviously this will either go parabolic in one direction or the other on Wednesday. So anything you get into on the US dollar, if you've got it in profit and you've got a decent move, a decent amount of space, go for the run. Yeah, you might get a massive, massive move and a massive profit out of it. Yeah, I'll be looking for longs on that one at the moment. CAD Swiss, out of CAD Swiss at the moment. Well, I'm short now. I've flipped short. So I'm really badly hedged on this at the minute. It's a difficult one. I'm out of the longs, but I've flipped short on this now. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to break even this one. Reason I'm doing this, I think there's more upside on this. We got a nice RSI extension on Thursday last week, which is why the EA took the short there for me. We haven't come back into this propulsion gap yet, and we haven't done a big enough profit take, I don't think, on this move. So if you stick a fib on this move here and look at the pullback, the 38 pullback is there, which tends to be a shallow pullback in a downtrend. A medium pullback in a downtrend would be somewhere around the 50, which is nicely banging that propulsion gap. If you look at the US dollar Swiss, I've got longs and shorts on this now. So I've got pretty much the same trade. That's exactly the same trade on the CAD Swiss taken on the US dollar Swiss. So that's twice exposed on pretty much the same instrument. It's the same move. And I've got the short on the CAD Swiss and the short on the US dollar Swiss. So what I think is going to happen is I think we've got a little bit more upside, and I'm hoping, really hoping we do this by Wednesday. We can get up to that upside, get that target done, scale into another short, and then potentially get into that short on the US dollar Swiss. So I'm not going to hold both of those, CAD Swiss and that US dollar Swiss, because it's the same trade. But yeah, I think a little bit more upside on this one at the moment. So that H1M5 mean reversion has played out nicely. You could bank that. In fact, that probably would be the most sensible thing to do, wouldn't it? It's hardly anything. It's 0.1%. So I'm just going to bank it. In and out, done. Just put something in the bank rather than stopping out break even, because I think that's probably what is going to happen on it. I think we're going to push up and we're going to do a much deeper pullback on this. The problem we've got this week is, have we got enough movement today and tomorrow before Wednesday? So the market quite often on FOMC week will do this, because no one in their right mind in any bank or institution is going to want to put any speculative positions on the US dollar or the Canadian dollar ahead of FOMC. So you find yourself holding in a range, waiting for the news, and then all the orders go in. The other thing that happens is the market is very confident on a specific move that you're going to get on FOMC, i.e. we're going to get that 0.5%, well, 5.5% interest rate, and the Fed is going to be bullish. So they will position themselves ahead of the news, ready to do the move. So sometimes on FOMC week, we get a 2-day push and then a midweek reversal on Wednesday. So you can't tell what's going to happen. Today's obviously the day that it gives you the clues, because it's Monday. So we want to see if we get a decent move today. If we get a big, strong day today, we know that we're probably going to push tomorrow as well. And then Wednesday, they'll think about pulling it back the other way. But we will see. 2 minutes to the news. So that's CAD Swiss. So DAX is long. That high is TP1, which is 2R. Could we look at US dollar ZAR? No. It would be irresponsible of me to look at those sorts of pairs, because they are very bad to trade. I think I haven't got it, but there you go. You can look at it. I'm not going to give any commentary on it because I don't. It's just a. I don't know. There you go. There's US dollars are. So just watching my. We're up at the highs on the NASDAQ. But US dollars will go up or down on Wednesday. That's what I can tell you on that one. Okay, so DAX is up at the highs. We've got 20 seconds to the news. And if it's Germany negative, we should get a little spike up. 38.8 on a forecast of 41. So that should be bullish DAX, negative euro. There you go, negative, same as France, which means the Eurozone will come out overall negative at 9 o'clock. So that should be enough, hopefully, now for the market to start getting its moves in. Whether or not it looks like it wants to pull back first, but hopefully we'll get that move to the upside now, but we'll see. All the indices coming down at the same time off the back of that news. Lee, I really want to sell it in just hold. Sell it in just hold? What's... You slipped me there. What do you mean sell it and just... Oh, sell it and just hold, I think you mean. Sell what? The DAX. Can do. Talking about Swiss yen. Oh, right. Swiss yen. I haven't looked at Swiss yen. How can you say, I just really want to sell it and hold, and expect us to be using unagi to understand what you're talking about? Swiss yen. Why do you want to sell Swiss yen? Going up. I wouldn't look at a setup. It could flip a coin. Could go up, could go down. Could go anywhere. Massive push on the pound yen. Yeah, pound's coming down. Weak pound today. So that'll be coming down with the euro. So the euro and the pound tend to move together. And obviously negative euro, you will find negative pound as well. Big trade partners. So TP euro US dollar short is down in this propulsion gap. Also got a hedged long on it on Thursday on the RSI extension. So we'll get out of the shorts and then scale into longs. Okay, so there's your pullback on the DAX. So obviously we've opened long, pullback. A good spot to get in long. It's a retest of that high before the market opened. Then target yesterday's high. Unagi. If anybody hasn't watched Friends, you won't know what the hell we're talking about. DAX 15-minute retest to the reversal alert. I haven't got reversal alert on my M15 on the DAX, but it's range bound at the moment. Tricky one, this is. So market seems to want to sell off at the moment. Which is interesting. Normally we'd see the opposite on the index, but euro pound short, I'm out. TP hit. US dollar Swiss. Oh yeah, that's going to be rallying because Swiss franc will be coming down. Nice. So target on US dollar Swiss, as I said, back up in this propulsion. So if we can get a nice 150 ADR on that today, that would be absolutely perfect. Then I can get a second short on, and hopefully the US dollar will tank on Wednesday. Euro New Zealand ADR is the first ADR of the day, which is your New Zealand dollar against the euro. Into propulsion. There's that accumulation, which is a double top. Break. Unlikely we're going to find buyers in here, obviously, because this is massively negative euro. Why is this DAX not rallying? Interesting. So we're back to inside the pre-market range on the DAX. US indices are selling off as well at the moment, which is probably not helping the DAX because it's possibly some kind of sector purchase or rather sector sale. Could be motor. Have we got motor coming out this week? What have we got this week? Tech tomorrow. Oh, General Motors tomorrow. Okay. What are them? We've got Ford on Thursday. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this looks like a sector sell to me, all coming down at the same time. So they're selling a sector off, motor or something selling off. So this isn't necessarily the actual move on the DAX. The DAX is just being dragged down. If they are selling motor, there's is it 3 motor manufacturers? We've got Porsche, BMW, Volkswagen, and Mercedes. So there's in the DAX, there's 4 motor stocks. So if you get a sell-off in the motor sector, the DAX tends to be hit the hardest. So could be that. I don't know. You never know. ADR, Euro, US dollar. So I need about 135 ADR today to TP on that. That'd be that propulsion gap. Then I would look for some buyers to step in that area there. US dollar Swiss double top on last Thursday, which is last week's high. Okay, a bit of strength coming back into the indices. Unagi. Yeah, the almond. Okay, here comes the strength of the DAX. US dollar Swiss rejecting last week's high. So if we can crack that high here and get a break, there's nothing to stop the market until we get back up into that propulsion gap. Yeah, so that's clear air, as it's known, between this high here and there. Yeah. So again, propulsion moves. Nothing in a propulsion move that will stop the market. Well, there's a load of sellers and buyers in the opposite direction, obviously. That's why the propulsion move started. But there's nothing until you get that gap filled, basically. So if we can break this high, might take another run up at it. We'll get a good rally, hopefully today, tomorrow, up into that area. And then obviously they can do what the hell they like. Hopefully bring it back down again. But that's Swiss franc. This isn't US dollar strength. This is the Swiss franc weakness. So Aussie Swiss, things like that will also be pumping. New Zealand Swiss, US Swiss will be pumping. Swiss franc coming down with the euro weakness. So if you look at euro Swiss, you can see which is the dominant currency. It's obviously the euro at the moment because it's euro news. Okay, with double bottoming on last week's low on the euro CAD. Closed that euro yen on Friday, look. Break even. Because I was not sure. But bit of a quandary. So basically I've got pretty much 1% I can bank right now on these Swiss and euro moves. 6% peak on euro on the pound. So we just had news come in. Traders are preparing for a 6% peak with a 50% chance. So with the interest, this is to do with the interest rates, obviously, on the pound. We were looking at, as I said earlier, at 5.75, 6.25 being terminal rate. So we're currently on the pound sitting at 5, having gone up by 0.5% last time. So the before the CPI figures came out, that was our forecast. Yeah. So another 1 to 1.25%, which means a good 2-3 months at least worth of bullish price movement on the pound should be in normal situation. I'm just watching these US indices and just eyeing them up for a long. So that basically is confirmation now that the market is 50-50 about 6%. So that what that is doing is saying not 6.25 anymore, more like 6%, but still not less like 5.75%. So I think we've got another 0.75% by the looks of things where we are sitting at the moment on this 5. Yeah. So the forecast is now 6%. Yeah, with a 50% probability. So a 5.75 is pretty much a given, which is at least 1 to 2 more interest rate rises on the pound, depending on whether we go in 0.25% increments or 0.5% and a 0.25% increment. If we go in 0.25% increments only, that's 3 increments minimum. So definitely bullish pound. So the question is, where are we going to pull back to on the pound? Not kind of, are we going to go up? It's where do you want to start buying the pound, basically. So bullish pound. So any RSI extensions to the downside, if you want to be super safe, don't take shorts. Personally, I think at the moment you can kind of go any way you like with it, but longs are going to be easier to get out of than shorts. Afternoon, Kenzai. Morning even. Afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Right, US indices are stopped. Installed. Look at this. Everything pretty much in tandem today, look. Unusual to see everything moving exactly the same across all instruments. Not the norm. Oil, Christian. Yes, good point. Haven't looked at oil today, have we? So we're struggling out the highs. So next target for oil is back up there, which is $83.50 a barrel. We've got the range break done, and then we've retested and pushed up, but we haven't broken that high yet. So we've moved our range basically from here up into here. Yeah. So I think it unlikely that we'll break this range low. More likely that we will break the range high and we'll go long. So any kind of pullbacks, I would say, are probably really good buys. And obviously, if you're trying to get a decent risk reward on this, so assuming that that is going to be your target up there, you want to basically look at where you can get in with a decent risk reward. So if we were to pull back 50% of this range basically down to there, for example, and put your stop just under that range somewhere like that, you're looking at around about a 4R trade. So if we got a pullback down into anywhere around here, potentially there's a really nice trade on that. You can take a break of that high. The difficulty there is where do you put your stop? It could pull back anywhere in there. So if it does break that high and doesn't actually get out first time, it's going to do this and come back into the range. So if it does take that break, stop under that low, you're going to get a very nice risk reward trade on that. So your break would be just above that high and then stop wherever you fancy it, really. Obviously, wherever you put your stop is determinant on what you get as a risk reward ratio, isn't it? So but oil, yeah, I like it long. I don't want to take it up there, but what are we now? sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days in this new range that we formed since we broke the highs. So this is the second week. Really want to take a long on the indices. Done it. Might regret it, but I just love this pullback on that news. Yeah, for a long. Already long on the DAX, obviously, but it's not going to be quick, I don't think, you'll find this morning. So yeah, oil. Yeah, wait for a pullback, I would. We've got oil news, obviously, on Wednesday, 3:30 every week. Wednesday is oil inventories, and that is where you tend to get your moves kicking off. So there's your oil inventories on that Wednesday. Tuesday, Monday, there's your oil inventories on that Wednesday. Yeah, so we tend to get a move in one direction or the other, which quite often will be the catalyst to get the thing going. Like that. But yeah, wait for longs. Obviously, the other option is, which is obviously the less preferred option, is we get the pullback. So we didn't, this level here that we pulled back into the highs, we didn't get a 38 retracement. So there's 38, there's 50. So there is potential still for a pullback on that. That's the only sort of downside looking at it, but who knows? But yeah, I'll be looking for longs. Longs easier to get out with pounds than shorts has been true for almost a year. Yeah. Pound is one of the only currencies that is actually doing what you would expect it to do on interest rates at the moment. I have to say, we've had real big shocks on the euro, the New Zealand dollar, the US dollar. You know, we've had rates put up, we've had forecasts hit, we've had everything happen positively, and they've tanked the currency. Pound's about the only one where we've had pretty much for certain interest rates are going to be going up. We know that. And it's actually done what it should be doing on interest rate change. So you've got to ask the question at some point, when is it not going to do what it expects to do on an interest rate change? Because everything else seems to be getting to the point where it suddenly goes, nah, I know it's bullish, but we're not going to do that. So I just get the feeling we know where the terminal rate is going to be pretty much on the pound. The rest of these, Lagarde has not given any real guidance. The Fed keep changing their mind like anything. We've had no guidance on the Australian dollar or the New Zealand dollar as to terminal rates. Same with the Canadian dollar. The Swiss never tell us anything, and the Japanese never move. So, if you look at all the currencies out there, this is the only one really we've been pretty certain on. For longs, but everything else is just an unknown. But we're getting... You'll find at some point the market will go. DAX is US indices have broken out the highs. DAX has broken out the highs. So yeah, it looks great, doesn't it? All pounds look lovely for longs. I'm just going to close out some of this. Hello. Get a further rally on that. Think about it. That was a big pop we got there. Just that's what I caught my eye out corner of my other monitor. That literally just went exploded to the upside. They all hit. Basically, all three US indices hit that high at the same time, and there was a big injection of buys. Can it hold it? That's the question. So approaching target on the DAX, which is the yesterday's high, just below yesterday's high. which is 2R on the range break for the stop that I've got. Actually, it's slightly less than 2R. 1.5 to 2R. Virginia, everything in tandem. Is there one overarching algo controlling the market? No. This theory of this thing that certain people that run YouTube channels and sell courses says exists doesn't exist. According to my sources in the banks, they've never heard of any central algorithm controlling the market. Think about it. If there was a central algorithm controlling the market, how would the banks make money? Yeah. To be able for you as a bank or an institutional trader to be able to make money, you have to catch someone on the opposite side off guard, right? So if I buy, there has to be someone on the other side that sells. When that price goes up, he has to go into drawdown for me to make money. Yeah. I then close my order. He can then buy the order that I've just closed. And then when it goes down, he can then close his orders from the next person that's going to go into drawdown. Yeah. Ticking up, ticking down. That's what the market is. It's a spread. So if there was a central algorithm that everybody made money on, who controls the central algorithm? And how does the central algorithm make money? Banks and institutions' jobs are to make money for their shareholders, not for the others. Barclays don't go, hey, I'm going to make loads of money for HSBC today. They do scratch each other's backs, because if you're a bank and you've got a massive order you need to execute long, you need someone on the other side of it to be able to execute it, because you can't buy a load of pound CAD if there isn't somebody on the other side willing to sell a load of pound CAD to you. Yeah. So there will be cycles where the market, as we know, we can see it. It's what we do. That's why it's got the market structure trader on here, because market structure exists. That's what the market is. It's a structure of movement up and down. But the banks will scratch each other's backs to make money, but there is no central algorithm controlling everything. There is a majority of the trading, various people say different amounts, but 80 to 90% of the market is algorithmic. But there is a guy sitting there going, execute, that starts the algorithm off. Yeah. So if you've got, like I was talking about stock sector purchases, yeah. If you've got a sector purchase to make for the motor industry today, so you need to buy 50,000 shares in Ford, Daimler, Mercedes, Porsche, whatever today, right? You will set the algorithm up to buy that stock. You can't just go, I want to buy 250 million of all these stocks at the same time, because there's not 250 million worth of shares available. So you buy some, you sell some, you buy some, you buy some, you wait for the market to pull back, you buy some more, you wait for the market to pull back. You have to wait for the orders to be available to you. That's what's happening. This is why we see market structure. So there's no central algorithm. This is all happening at the same time because they're buying stocks. These are all stock indices. Yeah. In every single one of these indices are similar stocks. There's a load of stocks in the aerospace sector, in all of them. There's a load of stocks in the motor sector, in all of them, even the NASDAQ. Yeah. Because if you buy motor sector stock and the motor sector increases, everybody that supplies the motor sector, all the tech companies, their stock increases too. It's all a symbiotic relationship. So when you see stuff all moving in one go, it's because there's a load of stock being purchased across the board. That's how it works. But there's no central, not that bankers I know are aware of anyway, but who knows? They might be in the dark. It might be three bosses sitting at the top of the entire banking system going, with this thing they've created. I have no idea. I don't care. As long as it goes up and down, everybody can make money. That's all you need to know. You don't need to think about the matrix and some special secret source algorithm. Why do you think people invent all these secret things they know about, because if it's secret and they know about it, it must be better than everybody else's stuff. So you're buying my course. Well, I don't think it does anyway, but believe who you want to believe. Everybody's got to believe in something. How's the H1M5 account running? Yep. Fine. Good. 20%, 21% this month, 0.64 in drawdown. I opened one about 2 weeks ago and it's doing insanely good. It's done 20% in 2 weeks with 9% drawdown currently. You see, that's the difference between you and me. You're running the same thing as I am, except I'm in 21% with 0.62 and you're in 20% with 9% drawdown. Always going to get a different result for the same thing, aren't you? But yeah, H1's great this month. It was bad last month. Last month we made a loss. Swings and roundabouts. You're not going to win every month. Some months you're going to have monsters. Other months you're going to have nares. Just watching the indices. DAX is about to TP. Don't do it, DAX. Do not get that close. Closed. I'm not taking a hit for that much distance. Out. So got runner on. So if we can break that high, next target is previous day's high. Obviously, the reason I've closed that out is this is the high from Friday. So this is where there were no buyers left and the sellers stepped in, took control. Buyers tried to rally through again. Sellers sold again at that level. Yeah, so this is a double top, M pattern reversal, whatever you want to call it, reversal alert, market structure shift, whatever. It's the sellers taking control back of the market out of that propulsion move there. So if the sellers are in control of the market at the moment, the buyers are going to struggle to get through that area because that's where they're selling from. So I want to be out in case there's not enough buyers to break it today. If it pulls back down there and breaks even on that one, fine. Money's been made for the morning on the session, isn't it? So just getting out there just in case. Obviously, if it breaks through, that's fine. Runner target is up over ADR today, so we'll see. What's your pound CAD theory? Don't really have a theory, but pound long overall. Eurozone 40 as we expected, 42.7, so it's a negative. Be very hard to get a positive on that. So just got a bit of volatility just came in the market on that, but very difficult to get a positive on that when the two largest countries that make up that have just come out as negatives. So obviously that's going to be a negative too, which is why this is orange and these are red, because we know what this result's going to be because we just had them. Oh. So news-wise, now that's it until 9:30. 9:30 we get the pound. So
Stop Phil.
God's sake, I can't get a run on today. It's doing my head in. This highly likely we're going to get negatives on the PMI for the UK as well. So we might get a little bit more downside on the UK pairs today. Typically what goes in the euro goes in the pound and vice versa. So we'll probably find that we get a negative of that. So 9:30 is your next news for PMIs, which is the pound. So these are all inflationary leading figures. So they go into the CPI, into the overall inflation figures. So as we know, we've had negative inflation, which would expect to get negative PMI figures as well. So probably a little bit more downside to come on the pound, which means just scaling into the pound if you want to, or if you'd like to take a short. But obviously we'll wait for that figure to come out and see what it is. Will be one or t'other. Pound CAD, sorry, I was looking at, wasn't I? So yeah, Pound CAD I'm long at the moment. H1 RSI extension was on Wednesday last week, which was the initial entry there. Second entry taken on Thursday as we had a big push down. So that was the CPI figure, which came out as negative. We had 2-day drop. Friday, we bounced off, put in a new high. We're pulling back now. So potentially, as you can see on the hourly chart, you've got a market structure shift happening. So we've broken back up above that level. So if this is going to be a shift in structure, we'll be looking at a higher low coming in here and then a break to the upside. Overall, though, it's a long. And this is a beautiful pullback into the 2472 area, which is where we tend to get bounces out. Uh, 100 lots. Could you make me an algo? I want 90% loss rate algo. Yeah. I can make you an EA that loses 90% of the time. No problem at all. Quite sure why you'd want one, but probably better looking for one with a 90% strike rate. But you'll be there until you die. 125 ADR, Euro New Zealand. Hit to the downside. So Euro US getting close to target. DAX is coming back down again. The highs. So that's why I got out there, looking for those limit order triggers off of that high. A perfect example of how the market works, basically. Accumulation, break to the downside. So sellers took control of the market, pushed it back down. Yeah, buyers tried to rally up. Yeah, hit the sellers. Sellers pushed it down. Buyers tried again. Sellers hit the same level, pushed it back down. Buyers trying to rally again. Sellers hit the same level, pushing it back down. It'll take more buyers than sellers to break through. Simple as that. That's how it works. If there's more buyers, it goes up. If there's more sellers, it goes down. You can't predict because you don't know. Therefore, you get in, you get out, and you fancy it. Thanks. Always love watching your live sessions. Cool. They're all recorded. So if you want to, you can always go and watch them on YouTube anytime. So if you go to the lives, you can go and watch. So if you really want to spend your entire life, you can go back a long time. Hey, look, there's my old logo, my old screenshot. That's an old one. Yeah, you go back as long as you want, basically. So if you fancy going back in time and spending many years of your life watching me on Fast Forward, you can catch up. At the moment, I'm still stuck in US dollar Swiss. 90219. $90219? That's all the way up there. A big drop and the indices just gone. 90219. I'm still stuck in the US dollar Swiss at 90219 and 88834. You think I should ride it out or take the loss? I don't understand what you're doing. What strategy are you trading? That's not position trading, is it? I don't know. Euro CAD ADR. So it's coming down into this propulsion gap into support. Just watch this area. I don't understand what you mean. So you're telling me you've got 2 trades on long from up here, and you've got another one somewhere around there. Yes, you got a position there and a position there, and you're just sitting in it basically. What you're doing. Why have you done that? It's been a long time. Yeah, but why? What strategy are you doing? What are you doing? Why have you? If this is a position trade, why have you only taken 2 positions and then given up? If this is a position trade, you should be you should be in. Get like me, getting out. Look, yeah, I got in here, I got in here, I got in here, I got in here, and I got in here. Yeah, I'm in profit on this trade now because the position is playing out. If you just get in there and then go, oh wait, this may never come back to that level ever. If the US dollar gets negative news on Wednesday and then negative news next month, it's never coming back here. I don't understand what you're doing. What sort of trade is it? If it's a stop loss trade on a higher time frame, but I mean, yeah, I mean, if it's a position, I'm sorry, I don't understand, Road Rage. I don't understand what you're doing. So if it's a position trade, you're in the position long. You should be scaling into the position, waiting for the pullback to get out. That's the whole purpose of it. You can't just stop taking positions. And if it was a long, you should have been using a stop loss. If it was not a position trade, you should always use a stop loss. Confused. US dollar Swiss. Just watching this area here for hopefully some bullish price action, so they have another run up at that high, which means more Swiss franc weakness. The DAX is coming down quite a lot. Well, it's not coming down a lot. It's holding. The other US indices are obviously reversing at the minute. So there's more downward pressure on the stock market in general. But I'm just watching this for a break of this high. If we get this break, we're off today, I think. In which case that is, I'm not sure that would be on the cards today. Maybe, but certainly tomorrow, I don't see any reason why we couldn't be up there. But just a little worried about this euro not weakening any more than we've got at the moment. Basically, I've just got pretty much 1% I can bank. I'm just tempted to take some off, but I'll watch it for a minute. Anybody got any other pairs I want to look at? I haven't really got anything else today that I wanted to really discuss or look at. No one's asked for it yet. I'm going to cover it anyway, because no one's asked for it. Gold. So basically, obviously Wednesday is where this is all going to move, but we had that nice pullback off the highs on gold. Double top. And we've pulled back into this area balance. So I suspect we'll do something like that before Wednesday. So on Wednesday, I have got a potential break on gold, obviously, because we've got a potential long-term movement coming up on the US dollar. So obviously it's just to put another US dollar cross at the end of the day. So at the moment, it's looking like it's got very nice structure to the upside. However, we're running into that double top, which is that area of previous support turned resistance. So it's a very strong support resistance area for a next move to the downside. So high, low, lower high, lower low on a bullish US dollar. So we're bang in the middle of either direction. So Wednesday, you're going to find out whether or not it's bullish or bearish US. Whichever it is, I see a continuation basically coming. So I think on Wednesday, we're probably going to find we're going to get some sustained movement for a good few days on the US dollar, hopefully. So we'll wait and see what happens with that one. But looks a little bit more bearish than bullish at the moment to me. But we have pulled off of that area though, so very difficult gold at the minute. That is potentially what we're looking at, or back down into there. Is that bullish or bearish? Also, do you prefer to stick to specific pairs or just check the popular ones? Road Rage, have you watched the Position Trading Bootcamp? Going along the bottom. Go and watch the bootcamp. It's all on the website. It's all free. That teaches you how I trade and what I do. All answered in there, but they take every trade you see, basically. Okay, going long. DAX is rallying again. So hopefully that is a little bit more weakness in the euro. See if we can get down below this. It's banged straight into ADR. Look. Stop. Somebody was asking about ADR in the Telegram group. So they've just asked another question about it. Did have a question understanding about ADR. The ADR is calculated from the high and the low of the last 10 days. No, it's not. Well, yes, it is sort of, but the range of the last 10 days, basically. And the average is calculated accordingly. For example, if an average of 100 was calculated per day, how is the ADR high and low set for today? So ADR it's all in the video on the website, but ADR is calculated from the high and the low of the day. Yeah. So when the market opens, the very first tick of the day, it will draw ADR high and ADR low. Yeah. In this case, it's 71. So when that tick opens, a line will be drawn 71 pips to the upside, 71 pips to the downside. As this moves down, that will be dragged down so that that line, ADR high, is 71 pips from the lowest price of the day. As price pushes up and goes above today's high, this one will be dragged up. So it's measured 71 pips from there. So we're looking for 71 pips worth of movement up and down, in this particular case, to hit the ADR high and low. If you're in here for now. Yeah, so that's how ADR works. So it's the average daily range. We're measuring, on average, this thing moves up and down 71 pips in a day. So if it pushes down 30 pips or so, or let's say it pushes down 35 pips to the downside, we need to pull that line down from where it was when it opened so that it's, if it pushes up 35 pips and then goes up another 35 pips, it will hit its average daily range. There's no point in setting it up there because all we're doing there is we're setting that to that is 142 pips, isn't it? So when the market opens, it'll put a line 71 pips to the upside, 71 to the downside. That's 142. So for it to push up and hit that line would be 142 pips, wouldn't it? Or if it, you know, I mean, yeah. It's all fully explained. If you've got any questions after you've watched the video on the ADR reversal indicator, this video, that it goes me explaining the same thing, but I can't explain it any clearer than that. That is ADR. It's very, very simple. Was you, Jerry? Was it? Yeah. So have you still got a question about it? Because let's put it in here so you can see it. Right, so ADR is 99 here, okay? 99 pips. So we've opened there. It's drawn a line, 99 pips up, 99 pips down. So if this moves up, straight up to there, it's done 99 pips. It's hit 100% of its average daily range. If it pushes down from here, it's hit 99 pips to the downside, it's hit 100% of its average daily range. As price moves, yeah, it's moving down. Price is moving down a little bit. And now its price is moving up. You see these are moving ever so slightly. If I speed it up. I've got control points on. Yeah, so you see this is moving up. Yeah, so for price now to hit its average daily range to the downside, it's got to move down by 99 pips. But it's only got to move up by 55 because it's already moved up 40, whatever. Yeah. So the best way to see it unfolding is in the strategy tester. You can see ADR being moved by price. There we go. So there's an ADR hit. So it opened there. It's 85 pips. But that line there is only 45 pips away because it moved down 40 pips. So for it to move within its average range, to hit an average daily range of movement to the upside from that low to that high is 85. Yeah. So that line is dragged down as price comes down. And obviously this one's up. So from that high there down to that line there will be 85 pips. So as price moves up and down and up and down and up and down, those lines will contract so that the distance between those two lines is always 85 pips. Make sense? Yeah, you got it. That's why we measure, that's why we use ADR in trading. You have to use ADR instead of pips because the pips on every instrument is different. So if you said I'm going to go long and I'm going to have a 20 pip stop loss and a 40 pip target on the oil, yeah, a 40 pip target is 2 times its average daily range. It's got to move twice its normal daily range to hit your target. Yeah. On something like the Euro New Zealand, it's 161. So 20 pips is like a 5-minute candle. You've got to use average daily range of each instrument to measure movement rather than pips, because pips is just a number that's generated at random by each instrument. So it's useless. It's useless for everything. Right. Stalling out a little bit. I'm really tempted to take this off the table, this Euro US and this US dollar Swiss, just because I want to bank some stuff today. I'm keen to get some US exposure off the table, but I'm going to watch it. I'll post in the Telegram group if I'm going to close these out. I just want to, I'm pretty sure it's going to continue, but I just, I don't want to lose it all, basically, let it all go back into drawdown. Nothing worse than being in a load of profit and then watching the whole thing disappear into drawdown again. I was using static. It did not move through the session. All right, yeah. Well, if you're using a static ADR, it's just a pivot line, basically. You might as well generate a number at random. It doesn't mean anything. So if you're using static ADR lines, all they're doing is they're telling you if it's moved up by what it does on average a day. But if it moves down first and then goes up, it's moved more than its average daily range, isn't it? So if something was 100 ADR and it moved down 50 pips and then moved up and hit ADR, it's moved up 150 pips, isn't it? Because it went down 50. So to get back up there, which is 100 pips, it's got to go down 50, up 100. So that's 150% of its average daily range. So if it draws a line there and says that's 100% of its ADR, it's not, is it? Because its price has moved 150% of its average daily range to get to that line. Totally wrong. Whoever's created that indicator doesn't understand what average daily range is and how to measure it. But it's great if you want to measure 150 ADR moves or whatever, just Euro US dollar buy. You can try and buy it if you want to. So yeah, I mean, it's up to you. That is an ADR reversal potentially. So if you're using the ADR indicator, that is an ADR hit. You're not going to get an entry on this if you're using market reversal alerts though, until it gets all the way back up to 100 ADR the opposite direction, because this has just gone down like that. So if you want to take a ADR reversal on this, I would take a break of that high and then trade it back up into that low or up into that low, which is the Asian low. So Asian low, Friday's low, potentially, if it managed to push up. So all the euro news is out of the way now. So you're clear. Pound is coming out in 6 minutes, and obviously the pound will move the euro as well. So if we get negative pound CPI, we might get further negative movement on the euros as well, which will give this another kick up. And then it's got to try and break Friday's high to get a rally out. Markets certainly seem fairly bullish this morning across the board. So we'll see what happens with the euro US dollar. But this is why you got to, whenever you're getting ADR hits, you need to look at what's going on with the news. Obviously, why is it hit ADR? If it's hit ADR because there's a big fundamental news event that is going to cause weakness in a currency, do you want to be buying it? Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? You never know. But at some point, it will bounce. So if, that's a propulsion gap going in. So if this hourly candle now closes, we've got 35 minutes left. If this hourly candle doesn't break that high, yeah, so there's the high of this hourly candle there. If that hourly candle then closes like this, you're going to get a whacking great propulsion gap drawn there. Yeah, meaning that it could well push down for another good few hours, but it will come back and test that area at some point in all likelihood. It could drive straight up into there and then drop down. No way of knowing. But I'm short at the moment, so I'm not going to take long. Right, I'll leave it there. Anything you need, let me know. I will be in the Telegram group. I will post anything I'm closing out with these. If I do, I'm just going to wait for this pound news to pan out. And then hopefully, once we've got this pound news out of the way, the London session will be able to get underway properly, because it's waiting for this to kick in. So then 2:45 this afternoon, quarter of an hour after market open, we've got the PMIs for the US dollar. So we'll probably have a very similar situation as we did this morning, in that the market's not going to be particularly keen to rally anywhere until we've got that news out the way. So be careful with your pre-market opening range breaks if you're going to take them with the EA today, because you might find them a little whippy. They might go, but with news coming up, I would suspect we're probably looking at the 15-minute opening range break as being the best one for the day. How do you join Telegram? There's links going along the bottom constantly. Telegram. There's links all over the website. The Telegram link up the top there on the website. Put a link in the chat. Okay. Yeah, it's pushing up a little bit, this euro US dollar. Oh, I don't know what to do with it. Tricky one. Give it the benefit of the doubt, but it has come off that high. Right. I'll be back this afternoon at 2:20 for the US session. Obviously, we'll trade the US indices, see how we get on with those. Bear in mind, obviously, we've got the pound movement in a minute, so watch that. Other than that, it's no news for the rest of the day until we get through to the US Open. So we'll watch that during the US Open and see how we get on. Anything you need, I'll be in Telegram. Other than that, I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7:50, same time, and 2:20 tomorrow afternoon. But I'll be back 2:20 this afternoon for the New York session. So hopefully we'll see you guys then. Anything you need, come in Telegram. I'll be in there. All right. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys later.